Welcome back to Nikki's Scrapbooking Adventures. Today is Forgery on the 4th with the Counterfeit Kit Club. And we are using the Felicity kit from Tracy Reed's design. This is a digital kit, so you could go purchase this, print off the pages and ephemera, and make your own. Well, today we are going to make a forgery. So I'm going to make something similar to what's in the kit with my own products. And when I take a look at all of the ephemera pieces, I notice a lot of circles. I notice the little rainbow image there. And then I spied a piece of a journaling block back there. That's a circle. And I love me some journaling blocks. I absolutely love them. I can make the other things while I'm going if I need to, but I want to make some journaling blocks. So this is what my journaling blocks look like, and you're going to get a bonus. We're actually going to make some of those circle elements that have some white in them, similar to what that little green circle is with the white and the heart in the middle. So you're going to get a 2-for-1 bonus today. For supplies, you're going to need some color coordinating cardstock, inks that coordinate with your cardstock, and now this cardstock needs to coordinate with your kit, not necessarily with the inspiration. You want to be able to use this with your kit, so pick colors of cardstock and ink accordingly. You're going to need some nesting circle dies, your reverse tweezers, anti-static, white embossing powder, Versamark, and paper, as well as 2 stamps and some mint tape. So the stamps that I'm using, one is from Elizabeth Craft Designs, and it's just this text block. Pretty much everybody has this text block. And then the second stamp that I'm using has a little swirly design in a circle. I don't know where I got this from, but it works for my purposes, which is great. You're also going to need your die cut machine, whatever that may be. We're going to start with the journaling blocks. The first step is going to be to cut our outer rim. So I am going to use my mint tape to position my circles exactly where I want them. So I'm not going to adhere them to the paper. I'm actually going to adhere them to themselves, making sure that the ridge is as even as possible between them. And then I'm going to die cut. If you don't have this metal plate in your die cut machine, you need it, because this is the best way I have found to not warp my plates and increase the longevity of my machine. You can see there's hardly any scratches on here, unlike my regular plate. This plate is really just for the top part, and I always rotate. So you're going to end up with 2 pieces, the inner, which we're going to use, and the outer, which we're going to use. Now we're going to go on to making this. So I have my handy dandy Tim Holtz stamping platform, and I have set this up so that I have my journaling block in the lower left hand corner, so that I can just stick my 3x3 square right in here. Now when I'm doing this, I'm going to stamp twice. So I'm going to stamp once, or I'm going to stamp multiple times really. I'm going to do 1st generation and 2nd generation stamping. And then I'm going to rotate, ink my stamp up again to get this grid formation. And I'm also going to do 2nd generation stamping here, because I don't really want my stamp block to be the same exact color as my outer side. So you can see now I've got either this option, which is darker, or this option, which is lighter. And I'm going to choose the lighter, because that way I can see my text. I love Distress Oxides because they are water soluble and super easy to clean. And I don't care about the skipping lines. If that bugs you, just keep stamping until you get it correct. But the 2nd generation stamping, I think, is key. You could even go 3rd generation, but for the sake of ease, I am just doing 2nd generation stamping. Now that I am done with this, I'm going to go ahead and take my blue tape off, and I'm going to run my grid paper that I just made through the die cut machine using the biggest circle. If you're going to make a bunch of them, I would cut a whole bunch of different colored circles, outlines, stamp, and then cut the grid paper separate. That's kind of what I did, so I didn't have to keep fiddling with getting my circle edge perfect. Now I'm going to glue this on, making sure to pick the correct side. Yep. And there is my circle text blocks. So easy and easy to mass produce in the different colors of your collection. Now we're going to move on to our inner bit. There's no point in wasting this. Let's use it and make some really cool ephemera. So a trick that I use when I am stamping something like this is to make a little bit of a jig. A jig is a thing that will help you center your stamping. So what I did is I took the smallest circle, now that they're separated, and I cut it out so that I have this piece of paper. I am making sure to have an edge here so that I can use my magnets to hold it in place. I then have a scrap piece of paper that I'm going to use. I'm going to make sure that it's all the way up against my edges here so that in case this moves, I can reposition it in the correct place. Now I'm going to use my water-soluble Distress Oxide ink to go ahead and stamp this image. See how this kind of lifted up? I don't want it to lift, or it shifted. I don't want it to shift. So I'm going to go ahead and move this paper back to where it needs to be. And then I'm going to use my jig to center my image so that it fits perfectly on my circle. And I'm going to use my magnets to hold this still. I'm going to clean this up super quickly because I'm using that water-soluble ink, trying not to move the placement of the stamp because I have everything set up perfectly. I then am going to use my anti-static powder tool to coat the front of my cardstock and place it within that jig. And now everything should be centered perfectly when I go to stamp. I've got my Versamark. And I'm going to stamp my image. I'm going to use my tweezers to get it off so I don't accidentally drop this back onto the Versamark. I'm going to dump my white embossing powder and I'm going to heat emboss. Now I have this cute little circle with an embossed design on it that really stands out and my coordinating journaling block. Don't forget to check out the Counterfeit Kit Club and their forgeries that they make this month. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.